Welcome back. Today we are going to be playing out the new and not really improved AJS37. We are going to be playing it in Araby, and because I really hate myself, we are going to be playing it with only AIM-9Js. Because this thing doesn't have an internal gun or an internal flare pod, you are basically forced to run one of each. Or at least that's how I'm going to play it, because I really despise flying around with my dick in my hand, as we are all familiar with. I like to have a gun and I like to have flares, especially at 11.3. Which means you are going to be fighting 12.0 basically every match. So we are going to be rocking 4 AIM-9Js, 24 countermeasures. We are going to be running flares only, because mix will result in the fact that we only have 12 pops. And then we will run the cannon pod on the left side. Why is it the left side? Because most of the planes will have it on the left side. The F-14, the MiG-29, the guns are always on the left. So for the sake of consistency, I like to play with the gun on the left side. So I can kind of get used to it when I play vehicles like this. The AJS37 in Araby is not exactly fantastic. Now, if you really want to play this a little bit differently, you can of course swap out the AIM-9Js here for AIM-9Ls. The issue is you can carry 3 at most if you want countermeasures, and then you're still stuck with the AIM-9Js anyway. So just to make it even more painful, because I know that's what you're here for, we are going to be playing it with AIM-9Js today. And if you're wondering why I call this video the Sleigh, it's not just because it handles like one, it's also because we are going to be delivering presents like Santa Claus today. And in case I didn't get your blood pumping yet, boo. I'm terribly sorry if you are watching this at 2 AM in the morning and I just scared you so hard that you won't be sleeping for the next 6 hours. You'll be fine tomorrow, trust me. But how are we going to be playing this thing? Well, it really just depends on what the enemy does. We have really no actual way to play this plane. Why is that? Because we don't have real advantages. We only have the AIM-9Js. We have a Gunpod that's off-center and adding a lot of drag, and we don't have too many flares. So I like to just stay around the outskirts and come in with my team. This is one of those planes that you'll see that I'm actually going to turn towards my team so that they can help me out. This thing, if you're on your own, especially in a 12.0 match, just means that you are gonna essentially do literally nothing, and you are gonna struggle quite a decent amount. So why am I going straight up for this F-14? Because he is clearly fighting someone else. He is going for someone. He's not really paying attention, and I just get instantly directly on his 6. So he goes head on, and we are just gonna sit on his 6, hold the trigger down, and just set him ablaze. You can also see that I have my radar turned off. Why is that? Because, well, I don't have any radar missiles. Most of the enemies that I'm looking at will be spotted regardless. And all it really does is warn the enemies of my presence, which is what I don't want to happen, because I kind of want them to just ignore me. When people start seeing this thing and they are actually paying attention to you, you don't have an advantage in the flight performance, you don't have a real advantage in your weaponry. If you are running the AIM-9Ls, if you carry 2 of them, at least if you go with a similar loadout as I am, and sure, you have 2 AIM-9Ls, but they're still only heat seekers and you can still flare them away. So you want people to basically just ignore you. So with the radar off, less RWR, and you want to come in once the enemies are busy. You do not want to engage them when they are alone, when they are not shooting at anyone else, when they're not going head on with someone. You want to come in basically second row, and you want to make sure that they are distracted. If you cannot do this, then you're not gonna get much success. Now you can also play the other way around and be the distraction, because you are basically useless, and if you can get 2 or 3 people slow, then you have definitely helped out your team. Right now I'm flying towards a little bit of a furball. The issue is there's only one friendly over there who just died. So now there is multiple over there that are not actually part of my team. So what do? I break off. I kind of leave my team to go and fight them. And then I'll come in once I've decided that they're actually somewhat busy. At the very least, this will make it so that if the enemies go for me, because I'm an easy target, I'm alone on their left, or on their right, if you look from the enemy point of view, it's going to break up their formation. And because I come in a little bit from the side, I instantly get on the 6 of this F-16. Also kind of the Su-29 that's above us, but look at that. He would have 100% flared me if I had come from another direction. He was not looking a little bit to the right. He didn't expect me to break off and then actually recommit. This is something you see very rarely in Araby, because everyone just points the cursor on the enemy and kind of lets the plane just fly towards the cursor until they reach someone. This doesn't get you very far, especially in a vehicle like this. So now it's only the Su-29 left, and well, we're going to take him out. And now we can actually turn our radar on. Why? There is 3 guys going back to the runway, but one of them was going back to the runway a little bit quicker. So that means that 2 of them are going to be landing, and one of them is actually a person that I can fight. And at this point I just thought to myself, I want to get a dogfight in, I want to get some footage in, and right now we are broken up. And we might get a little bit of a 2v1, maybe a 1v1 going, and I want to show what this plane can do. So I like to go out of my way to put myself in the absolute shittiest position possible to get some decent content in. And that's exactly what happens. I turn my radar on to find, and I see that 2 of them are flying back to the runway, and the one I just looked up is flying directly at us. Now he is going to be seeing us, so that's completely fine. I'm not expecting my radar turn off quote unquote trick to do anything here. So I can just turn it on for now. I'm gonna fly into the sun to make it so that even if he shoots an invisible missile at me, it will be distracted before I even flare, which is exactly what happened there. So now we go up. We will lose a lot more speed than him because we went vertical harder and we are in a shittier vehicle. And so we just aim our plane, Jeffrey Epstein him in the back of his head, and we will now just leave the area. Why? Because there's a MiG-29 as well as, I'm not sure what else is next to him. I wasn't sure at this point, but you'll see it in a second here. But the MiG-29 is gonna be the biggest issue. So we are just gonna fly across the map and try to waste as much of that time as possible. The issue is, the MiG-29 is 6.5 kilometers behind me. He's going hella fast, and because we can't really afterburn, because we are relatively low on fuel, and you can see the consumption is absolutely nuts, he's gonna run me down. So for now, I'm gonna make it so that I actually start a little bit in the head-on, as I can only see one of the enemies. And we're gonna flare that missile in the head-on. We go up over his nose, and you can tell that he is hardcore air braking. He is on very low throttle, he doesn't have his afterburners on, and I can just tell by the kind of diameter of his loop there how slow he is going. So what do? I'm gonna dive out, and I'm just gonna leave him. You can get all the position that you want by trying to bleed as much speed as possible, but I can now leave. And this is why I say, if you are flying a superior vehicle that has almost no chance of losing, you want to make sure that you keep your energy so you can actually kill him. Like, I get it, if I had stuck that fight, I would have 100% dead, but he gives me a get out of jail free card, because now he is slower than me, I'm running towards my team, and the guy next to him also isn't going that fast. He will rip at about 1360-ish. So he won't catch me in a very quick manner. The F-16 is coming directly at us. They are both going to catch me, but by the time that they catch me, I'm gonna be next to my team. So this is absolutely perfect. So that MiG-29 basically threw this match because he wanted to kill me too badly, and all he thought about was that dual strat. The dual strat doesn't get you anywhere in Aero B if the guy you are facing actually sees what you are doing. So I'm just gonna run away, and I'm gonna be waiting until I get near the F-16. And notice that I'm not gonna go directly head on with the F-16. This makes it harder for the F-16 to help, so I'm gonna break off a little bit. But then I notice that the J8F is going away. The MiG-29 is also not going for me, so I can now try and turn around and try to do something with the 1 minute of fuel that I have currently. The J8F gets absolutely slapped out of the air with an AIM-7M, and now I'm going to be chasing the MiG-29 and the F-16. Now I have accidental caps lock on, but at this point I thought it was pretty time sensitive, so I'm not going to delete it, I'm just going to send it. And the F-16 actually listens, which is in turn what gave me this opportunity. The F-16 helped me out, I helped the F-16 out, and now all I need to do is clean up the MiG-29. That is very much going to be pressed by me. I squeeze the trigger, I crit him, and now I'm on this guy's 6. I'm gonna shoot the missile off, and at this point it was basically done deal. He gets set on fire, and that is going to be game number 1. And that is basically textbook AGS gameplay. Now, when I say textbook, I don't mean the amount of kills, because you are not gonna get 5 kills per game in this thing. You really aren't. This thing is absolute dog trash, especially when you take into account that every game is going to be at 12.0. And before that snob comes in here saying it's a ground pound, yes it is, but go look at my about page and you'll see exactly what we are doing on the channel today. So again, this time it's an actual down tier, it's 5 F5Cs everywhere, and these things are actually hella annoying to deal with, because they have a lot of flares, they're not very hot, and this makes it so that your missiles basically amount to nothing, even if they're not directly going for me. This one is flying basically still, so I'm gonna shoot him down with the Gunpod, and we are just gonna continue on our merry way. When you get down tiered in this thing, it's a lot less painful, and that's mainly because you do have speed, and you have the ability to kind of sneak up on people. The thing is, that's not an exclusive AJS perk. That's a thing that a lot of vehicles can do, and a lot of vehicles will do it better. Sure, the ground ordnance is okay, but even then I wouldn't recommend flying this thing at 11.3 because you are just gonna be facing better stuff essentially every match. We have an F4E in front of us as well as an F4S. And we are going to look at what we can go for. The F4E is going relatively slow. The F4E is covered with a MiG-23 on the 6, so I'm going to switch on over to the F4S so I can actually interrupt him. I miss my shots, and then I notice that the MiG-23 overshoots, and, well, he dies regardless to a missile from someone else. So now it's again a matter of looking around, who can we engage and who do I want to go for. The F4S is turning around, he's not going particularly quick, and he's gonna probably try to go either for the head-on or run to his base. Either way I got him covered because he's never gonna turn into this. I get an absolute amazing hit there, because that's all these guns really do 90% of the time, but at least he's been somewhat damaged and he is almost in range. I'm just gonna shoot the missile off, it's almost the end of the game, it doesn't really matter. It should be in range, then he starts turning, it's definitely in range now, but he flared it. So the missile is going to miss, and at this point he's too slow, he's not really going to do anything. I hold the trigger down and we absolutely implode his balls. So now, then towards the middle of the map there's two F5C, so I'm going to latch onto the first one and just kind of pressure him. I don't have much rounds, it's kind of hard to aim this thing when you are directly behind someone because the gun is so offset, you don't have any tracers, the velocity is kind of low, and this plane isn't that snappy. So for now I'm just trying to keep this guy busy, so he's going to be very much occupied with me on the 6. I notice the other one coming in, so I'm going to pull up over his nose. And I'm really not too worried about killing any of these because I have enough teammates around. I'm just trying to be here, put pressure on them and make sure that we win this team fight. But looking at the amount of enemies that's on this F5, yeah, that's really not going to be much of an ask. And he's about to be swamped and shot down by 70 people at once. There he goes. So really, was this plane fun to fly? Nah, kinda. It was kind of funny to kill people, especially like in the first match where we quote-unquote outsmarted people. That's what this plane is about. You don't want to play this plane by playing the plane. You just want to kind of play chess, try to make it a strategy game, because your plane itself will not carry you to any victories. You need to rely on their mistakes, you need to rely on how the game plays out, and you don't really have a consistent way of doing well in this thing. I did not do well in this thing. It might look so in this video because, well, YouTube just makes everything look good if you cut the gameplay right enough. But trust me, this plane was an absolute chore to fly, even in the few games that I did, and even though the games went relatively well. It didn't go well because I am playing well, it didn't go well because this plane is great, it went well because the enemy has absolutely no clue what the hell they are doing. And that's why this plane is playable, that's why this plane can be somewhat enjoyable. But in itself, objectively speaking, this thing is absolute horseshit and you should not be able to get basically anything done with it. If you are going to be running it with AIM-9Ls, maybe only one flare pod, no guns, you get 3 AIM-9Ls, that's a decent loadout. The issue is you don't have a gun and you don't really have any battle presence because your missiles are all IR. And if you are flying it at 12.0, which will be basically every game, you're not gonna get anything done. The battle presence of this thing is extremely minimal. And you're just really praying for people that have no idea what they're doing. Luckily, at top tier or basically anywhere in this game, there's plenty of those people around, so you will have some good success with it. But that's not due to the plane. If you are looking for a challenge, go ahead and fly it. But if you want to fly exactly like this in a different vehicle, there are plenty of planes to pick from. Even if you are going to be looking at something like the AJS37, which just has more AIM-9Ls, it has internal flares, it has an internal gun, and it makes it so that you have some radar missiles, and effectively you're going to be at the same BR essentially every game. So why would you fly this? The occasional down tier is not worth it, because even in a down tier this thing is a bit of a chore to fly. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all again in the next one with probably an F-16 Nets video.